Hey everyone, Applied Intelligence here. I'm in my backyard today. It's Canada Day, um, and it's so nice out here that why do it at my desk? So today I want to just talk about some issues, obviously that's been in the news, particularly what the U.S. Supreme Court has done in the last week with all its rulings. Well, actually, it could be ruins too. Um, so I did a TikTok video the other day about understanding power and the fact that enough black people didn't vote like they did when they brought Obama into power. Like what happened when Joe Biden, you know, surged in South Carolina, shows the power of the black vote. And, black people staying away and being idiotic about not liking Hillary, you know, basically elected Donald Trump, and then you have three conservative justices, and America is changing. But one of the things in my book, Applied Intelligence, is looking at the original question as opposed to, just reacting to what you see in front of it and why America is where it is today. So make no doubt, people always, are wondering why, you know, they like, Donald Trump. Why do conservatives continue to vote for Donald Trump even though he's an idiot? Because exactly that. He's an idiot, and Mitch McConnell knows, and all they care about is stacking the Supreme Court to change America, bring America back to where it once was, make America great again. Well, all intelligent people know that, you know, you can't go back. Okay, you can't go back in time. You can try, but ultimately it won't happen. It's just a matter, of ignorance. But the pursuit is about power. And at the end of the day, power and money run the world. And if you don't get that, you're going to be in trouble. So this week, one of the things, it's just not about affirmative action in regards to the Supreme Court, slapping down, affirmative action. Um, Also, rulings on LGBTQ rights, right? Setting that back. And also, a major setback, which is even one of the most ridiculous things, is you know, not allowing the Biden administration to allow student loan forgiveness, even though education is the reason why all these other countries are surpassing America. So there's three stupid things, striking down affirmative action, trying to believe the illusion that America is colorblind, and the illusion that America, there's discriminate, in the Constitution, we shouldn't discriminate, even though the reality is that's not the reality. So when we think about those three things, slapping down of affirmative action, the setbacks and limitations in terms of LGBTQ, anyways, gays and lesbian. Okay, I can't keep up with all the different acronyms, but setting back, gays and lesbians, human rights. Okay, which is another big deal, at least from my perspective, and also slapping down the ability for the Biden administration to forgive student loans. When you take all of those three things together, we need to ask sort of the bigger question. And when we start with affirmative action, and again on the illusion that America is not a racist country, we have to go back to how America was built. And we got to go back again to to what I say about power. Power rules the world. And I always say, power, the world is not a morality play, right? Economics is not a morality play. Everything is a power play. So when we look at, go back 400 years and we look at how America came into existence and why it is where it is today, and what, these decisions in terms of the Supreme Court has happened, let's just go back a second. So we can go back all the way to the slave trade. That was about power, free resources, and the slave plantation system essentially built America, right? And that was about power and that was about money. Straight up, that's what it was about. So the whole plantation system was built that way, and America was built on slavery and the plantation system, and that was a driving force for American wealth creation. Obviously in the South, and America fought a civil war on that. They fought a civil war on that simply because, you know, in the South they wanted to keep that. Think about it. If you had free labor, okay, you can be highly, highly competitive in the world. But Lincoln realized that the rest of the world was industrializing, industrial revolution, stuff like that in Britain and other places. And if America kept on to that system, they would ultimately fall back. So we don't want to go into too much of it, but at the end of the day, the Southerners wanted to keep that because it's no cost based and they're creating enormous wealth. And but obviously Lincoln realized that this would push America back. So irrespective of what people think, Lincoln didn't go to war and the civil rights to free the slaves, because it was some type of morality play. It was about the interests of America, and Lincoln was intelligent enough to know that we couldn't continue with this backward engine of economic growth, which is slavery. So America had the advantage, and a lot of people in America had that particular advantage. Then, we move forward, and what we see in America is that racism is an economic tool. So if you can use racism and embed it in your laws, embed it in your institutions, embed it in your culture, okay, those who have the privileges, white folks who have the privilege, can always have a natural advantage, right? And we see this moving forward. Now, what happened, if you take a look at, affirmative action essentially recognized the fact that, whites have been cheating. They started at the first yard line, and that's the reality. So affirmative action was essentially, a move in order to create some equality and fairness in society by allowing people to get qualified people, first of all, to get the education they need, and that would balance out society and yada yada yada. But let's just jump right into it. So what we're seeing here today is that the privileges that white America had, and which basically turned into economic advantages, they no longer have. Okay, so what you see is, for example, how Trump came into to power, is that 20 years ago, for decades ago, automation came in, and these jobs that um, and the jobs that Americans had, where they didn't have to have necessarily anything but a high school education. They were middle class, and they were doing well. But American corporations realized that it's cheaper to produce in China, right? Much cheaper labor. So, same type of logic that American use in terms of the plantation system. So if they can get labor, well, they got free labor. But if an American company can get free labor, less stringent laws, they're going to be more profitable. So they might as well set up shop, move all these jobs to China, set up shop in China, import the stuff back, and make a healthy profit. That's capitalism, right? What's wrong with that? So all these uneducated whites, right, now became really, really poor whites, and therefore Donald Trump is the great white hope, feeding them a bunch of bullshit that they can get back and make America great again. Obviously, he's a snake oil salesman and he's a hustler. When people are desperate, when these poor whites are desperate, they cling on to these particular things. So what we're seeing right now, okay, is we're seeing where America has lost its advantage. China owns all America's debt. Okay, China's become an economic superpower. It's having more influence in the world. India's coming on strong, right? If you look at, you have in Silicon Valley, Stanford, all these places, you have lots of Indian people from India, Chinese, Africans are coming in and they're getting into science and they're getting into technology, right? And these countries are manufacturing, building technology. So America's place in the universe as the dominant economic superpower is gone. And Americans are essentially lazy. So instead of educating your kids and working hard and doing all those things Americans talk about, what do? They elect Donald Trump because they just want to go back to a world that they could never go back to, right? And so stacking the Supreme Court was one of the ways that can help him do that. So when you look at affirmative action, you have to look at affirmative action in terms of the core sociological makeup and insecurities of white Americans, right? What it is that if you can stop people from becoming educated, you can stop them from moving forward and joining the middle class and all that. So at the end of the day, I look at it more as these are the tactics that the Supreme Court will use in order to keep back minority populations, black and brown people, and continue to give the Americans, lazy Americans, poor white Americans, an advantage. How they're going to do that in the digital age, in the age of AI, where you have to have an education, you have to have knowledge, is beyond me. But hey, MAGA, make America great again. Stupid as it is, stupid is as stupid does, right? So that's one of the reasons why you see affirmative actions pulled back. But what also it does, it actually hurts America. It hurts white people too. I mean, the vast majority of white people are not Trump supporters and all that. The vast majority of people believe in fairness and believe in equality and believe in all that. They do believe in that. So let's not paint everybody with the same brush. So when it comes to LGBTQ, there I got it, right? They are people too. They are a minority too. And what that is limiting their rights because they don't want, the sort of the MAGA crowd, this, backed up by the Supreme Court. It's effect. They believe that giving rights to all people, gay and lesbian people, also, is not part of what makes America great. Okay, so when you look at affirmative action and equality, and when you look at rights for gays and lesbians, right? It is essentially a pushback on what on progress. And also now you also add striking down the laws, striking down Biden's attempt to not disqualify. What's the word I'm looking for? Attempt to write off student loans or forgive. Sorry, to forgive student loans, because a lot of those loans go to black and brown people, Hispanic people, black people, actually all Asian people, everybody, right? So the MAGA crowd, the white, that particular lazy crowd sees, oh, if we can limit their ability to get an education and all that kind of stuff, that will keep white people ahead. Again, stupid and idiotic, but again, stupid is as stupid does. So when you look at things, you have to look at things in what is the underlying driving force behind that. It is fair, okay, that the world is darkening. The world is getting more brown, more black, brown, yellow, everything. All right, it's getting less and less white. But instead of working hard, making sure your kids go to, get an education, instead you go to Trump rallies saying stupid shit, make America great again, not understanding you can't go back in time. I've never seen that before. All right. So in reality, even though the Supreme Court has struck back these things, it is up to black people. It is up to the LGBTQ community. It is up to young people to continue to push forward and to persevere. And it's imperative that particularly for black people, because in America, they have realized with Obama coming into to power and what happened with Biden, that American black vote counts. So when you don't vote, like I said in my TikTok video, if you had voted, forget about if you like Hillary or not. Republicans don't like Donald Trump again, but he basically gives them what they want, power. So if you want power, you should have voted for Hillary, and then you would have had three different, centrist, liberal, um, Supreme Court justices, and the world and America would be a whole different place. Instead, you have this reality show of America, okay, and you have a reality show where a criminal is running for president again, and that 30-40% of white racist America is supporting him. But in the end, they're going to lose. I mean, history tells you, you know, this never works. So everybody calm down. If you're doing your shit and you got your shit together, you're taking care of your family, you're working hard, you're educating your kids, ain't nothing that anybody can stop you. Okay? But just understand, okay, that what the Supreme Court, has done, okay, is a calculated effort, okay, to make uncompetitive whites, okay. You're not going to make them competitive, but the illusion that if you try to stop other people and if you try to harm other people, okay, you're going to somehow make it forward. If you're lazy, you got no education, you got no ambition, okay, all you can do is drink beer and go to Trump rallies. Really, are we worried about those people as our competition? I can tell you my kids are not, because they're moving forward, they're educating themselves, they're working hard, they're on the hustle, they're learning stuff about AI and everything. So they're going to be unstoppable at the end of the day. All right? But remember, this is not only the Supreme Court with affirmative action and gays and lesbian rights and students' rights. It affects not it harms not only, you know, black and brown people and LGBTQ communities. Okay, it hurts America because the vast amount of Americans are not, you know, MAGA, supporters, and they just want to get on with their lives, and they're fine with doing everything. So it's not an issue only for black and brown people, but it's also an issue for white reasonable, white folks too, who understand that a fair society and what the idea of America is, we should follow through. All right. So I just wanted to follow up on my TikTok video, but I just wanted to take some more time to just talk about this and just put this on my Applied Intelligence YouTube channel. That we have to look deeper at the underlying forces in our society that's driving behavior. So what we have to do is we have to apply our intelligence and look at the problem. Never look at the headline, look at the underlying effects of the situation, which will allow you or will give you a better understanding of how society is moving forward. And most importantly, understand all these setbacks, okay? All these setbacks, they might be ingrained in law, but we can still get around it, okay? Because, for example, in the ruling on striking down affirmative action, basically what it says is you can't check the box saying somebody is black or you're Hispanic or whatnot. But what they can't prevent you from doing, which they also say in the ruling, if you read the details, is that a person could express themselves as being black based on their experience. So you essentially, long story short, in your essays, is being for Harvard, if a black kid or a Hispanic kid, Chinese kid or whatever, can, in their essay express themselves and basically say they're black and give expression of their race, then they can't unsee it, and Harvard and all these other places can still essentially make decisions, with taking race into account. So this is another example of why you got to apply your intelligence and read the details and not just focus on the headlines. So what that means is, everybody that's being affected by these things today, by the Supreme Court ruling, doesn't stop us. It's going to be really hard for students to forgive, for them to, um, who, in terms of loan forgiveness, that one's going to be harder. But we're hoping, from what we heard Biden say, we're going to figure out a way. Okay, but most important, don't let the racist crowd sway you. Don't let them mess up your thinking. Understand where this comes from. America is on the decline. We know that. China is on an incline, on the rise. Well, it's been on the rise for quite a while. India, other places in Europe, Africa is coming on strong. West Africa, in terms of, fintech, those type of things. Huge investments are happening there. Huge investments are happening around the world. So, don't be dismayed. Life is about power. Figure out how you can effectively create wealth, get power, in order, so you can't be affected by those things. But for Black Americans specifically, for heaven's sakes, vote. Okay? If all the right-minded people, black and white and everything, vote, there's no way these Republicans, can continue with their nonsense. But the problem is, you know, America's going to continue to elect idiots as politicians into Congress, right? If you don't vote. And again, Obama winning the election was because of the black vote. Biden, in the landslide primaries with South Carolina, black people came out, and Biden is president. So you do have power. It's just your lack of exercising your power that puts you in this situation. So let's not complain. Figure out a strategy, apply your intelligence, okay, and keep it moving. All right? So that's it for now. Applied Intelligence out.